Boris has a bit of a green fetish that is abnormal, and as someone who doesn't really care much about the environmental argument, I'm not involved. I don't care about either side of this because I just don't feel like I know enough. And you mentioned that you're more into the environment than most right wingers. To be honest, I would argue from what I hear from right wingers, is as broad as the term that is, they all like the environment because it's like our country, keep it clean, safe, But the difference I think fundamentally comes down to the kind of people who worship the sun. And those people are strange. So the
worship the sun.
Yeah, that's what I'm dubbing them. The kind of people who are
pagans.
They're not concerned with real world results. Instead, they are just concerned with like humanity bad.
Okay.
And therefore, they just push environmental stuff 24/7 because, well, quite frankly, it just seems like they hate humans, which is weird.
Yeah, like the anti-human rhetoric is pretty strong.
Anyway, so the first thing here is a video we did a while back in which I was talking about why Boris decided to adopt the Green New Deal.
Because of his wife.
By the looks of it, yeah. So the weird thing is that the Green New Deal, as Americans will know, was the nonsense AOC came up with, in which she wanted to ban cows and build trains to Hawaii, amongst other nonsense. And this, like, they went to the Senate and even she didn't vote for it because she knew it was bad press. And I was like, okay, whatever. Sorry, went to the House, not the Senate, because she's a congresswoman. But the Green New Deal popped over to the left in the UK because they're so incestuous. And you can see here, Labour for a Green New Deal. They just copy-pasted the entire thing. And we're like, right, that's our work.
So even though AOC won't even vote on it herself, Labour's just like, yeah, this is great.
Based. No, not based. Not based in reality at all. Anyway, so the Labour Party took that up, and then they decided that it looks bad to talk like a Yankee when you're running for political office in the UK. So they changed it to Green Industrial Revolution to try and make it more British, which, yeah, okay, whatever. But it's the same thing. That's the point here. Anyway, so if we go to the first image here, the Conservatives tried to adopt this, and it looked kind of weird. And this is an image from Labour, which is they're mocking the situation. Corbyn plans Green Industrial Revolution. Johnson seeks Downing Street Great Reset with Green Industrial Revolution. Same thing. And also
Great Reset sounds worse almost.
Yeah, but also the Conservatives were mocking this as well. If you go to the next one, you can see the Carrie memes that came out of this. It's time to give the Dolphins the vote. Boris, it's time to give the Dolphins the vote. Yes, Carrie. When does he stop? And you can also just look at the manifesto. So the Labour manifesto, Green Industrial Revolution, and you can read through it in your own time. And then the next one being Boris, in which he posts about the Green Industrial Revolution. The same thing. Here's my 10-point plan that I totally haven't stolen from someone else. Like, right.
He's copying Jeremy Corbyn's homework.
But why? Just why? Like, why do you not have your own thinkers? You just it's weird, right? There's also the other kind of sun worshippers, except they're worshipping the sun for the holy race that it is or something. BLM UK. Let's go to BLM UK. The climate crisis is a racist crisis. # climate emergency. Oh, God. I'm not going to waste my time with these people.
So
like, the sun is racist.
The Chinese are emitting the most emissions by far. Therefore, according to Black Lives Matter, they are the most racist.
No, but that's a form of
factually correct.
It's like a form of white supremacy again, isn't it? You know how they tried to blame anti-black hate from Asian people in... sorry, other way around. The blacks attacking Asians in the United States, that was white supremacy. So I bet when Chinese Communist Party produces emissions, that's also white supremacy's fault. Anyway. But the IPCC, the International Planet on Climate Change, released a report recently, and they said that there was a code red for humanity, and this made headlines everywhere, and you can see the image used there of fires in Greece. And again, I don't care about climate, I'm not interested in the argument. What I am interested in is a weird obsession from the Conservative Party, specifically Boris, with this issue. So they say in here, there is hope that cuts to emissions and greenhouse gases could stabilise rising temperatures. Hopes. Well, if we just look at the UK, apparently we're doing excellent on this. Mm-hmm. So if we go to the next link here, as you can see, 5th largest economy, we're not in the top 10 here. We're at 17 in this list for emissions as share of the world. 1%.
Yeah, we're one of the world leaders for like green technology and stuff like that. It's lots of the companies that are actually coming up with the technology are based in the UK. So it's unsurprising that we're so far down.
1% of all emissions from the UK. Okay, you think, glorious, everything's been solved, or it's very good, therefore, whatever. But you also go to the next one, there's this report from the government on recycling, and it says in here that 46.2% of households waste is recycled, and 67.2% of packaging is also recycled or recovered. So you think, good job. Like, you're recycling to a ridiculous extent that most other countries don't bother with. Your emissions are next to nothing, which is why I don't understand why there's so much hoo-ha around this, specifically from Boris, is like, the must emergency that the UK must go after. Like, the UK isn't doing it.
My only thoughts is perhaps it's a strategy to win, like solidify his position, because the Labour Party is obviously dying, and if he gets them on the environment as well, then wasn't it something like we were looking to cut it by, was it 68%? And
We'll
then
get to that in a minute,
okay, I
but-
don't want to spoil it then.
But here's also the thing. So there's also, I want to mention, weather events are not climate change, and I'm sick of this from the leftists in particular, because they're the worst one on this. So we go to the next one. You can just see Zara Sultana, and then there's footage of the forest fires in Greece, and she says, "The demand to move beyond a capitalist system, addicted to burning fossil fuels, has never been more urgent."
And that's Greece, isn't it? And of
Forest
course,
fire.
there were never fires. I mean, it's not like Homer mentioned them in his writing at all. I mean, Greece has never been on fire before. I
Ever.
mean,
Also, fossil fuels did this.
yes, especially 2,000 years ago.
Also, capitalists are responsible for this.
Those capitalists always setting wildfires.
So the Soviet
So
Union,
devious.
never known for its fossil fuels.
Yeah, never known for its natural disasters either.
Natural gas,
Or unnatural
oil,
ones, yeah.
or the gates to hell as they set up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've seen that. I think it's in Kazakhstan. They set fire to some natural gas, hoping it would run out, and now it's just been going for like 80 years
Mm-hmm.
and still going.
I'm pretty sure that there was a city in the Soviet Union called Magnitogorsk, which had like a
Magnitogorsk.
it had like a life expectancy of about 40 or something like that. It was like ridiculously low, like 20 years lower than the rest of the country.
Disgustingly polluted.
Yeah,
So sod off socialist. But there's also, I mean, that's the thing. Like if socialists are gonna be like weather event or single event that proves climate change, well, why does the next one not disprove it? So we get the next one up. So just local man finds snowball, and then this was the Republican who was like, "I've got a snowball, therefore no climate change." And
that's really not an argument,
as funny as that
to
is,
be fair.
but it's also a really good argument for when leftists are like, yeah, but, you know, oil spill, therefore climate change, or earthquake, therefore climate change. It's just, shut up, for Christ's sake.
The climate doesn't even control the Earth's crust, does it?
But I'm
like
so
an
sick-
earthquake can't be caused by climate change because it's under the surface of the Earth.
But also the floods, or whatever. They'll just be like, yeah, weather event, therefore climate change, do whatever we say. It's like, sod off, people. I can't stand them. Anyway, so Boris has made an unwelcome speech about all this that wasn't very popular with conservatives because people were like, I didn't vote for this. I voted for Brexit. I didn't even give a toss about this. So let's go to the next one. This is his a speech he posted. So the IPCC report could not be clearer. Humans are causing potentially catastrophic climate change. The world must act together to avoid incalculable damage for the future. And one of the things, amongst others, he mentions in here is he wants the UK to commit to a fund of $100 billion a year for other countries so that they can go green. So just spend money elsewhere. Because why? Well, because the UK, it's nothing to do. Like, our
Well,
emissions are nothing.
I can think of something. We could reduce immigration to stop our population growth and stop the creeping destruction of the countryside. That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But it's not only the $100 billion a year he wants to commit to globally, but also just the plans they have. So Andrew Neil did an interview with Rishi Sunak a while back, and GB News being the only outlet that would ask this question, we can get the next one up, which is that how much is this all going to cost? And Rishi Sunak looked very, very uncomfortable and then had to admit £1 trillion over
Wow.
10 years. £1 trillion. For
That's
what? 1% of the
Massive,
world's
yeah.
emissions. And that's not even going to bring it down to net zero, but Jesus Christ. That's the cost. And I hate that they can't just be open about this, but whatever. Again, I'm not
believe in
even
it.
like against the climate stuff or whatever necessarily, but I'm so sick of the sun worshippers who are like, no, we need to destroy all human progress, spend untold amounts of money because, what, 1%? I was like, okay, whatever. But it also leads him to saying really dumb stuff. So if we get the next one up, this is him saying something really dumb. Boris Johnson faces backlash over Thatcher coal mines comment. What did he say about the coal mines? Margaret Thatcher was helping the environment by closing down the coal mines. Oh, boy.
That's not going to win voters back, is it?
Oh.
Up in the north, they're...
That red wall. The PM said closures gave the UK a big early start in the fight against climate change. I really don't think that was on her mind, lad. It's for people outside, I mean, this is a really politically inept thing to say, specifically for Boris Johnson, who's trying to win seats in the north. The big issue of why the seats were so red for so long being Margaret Thatcher's closing of the coal pits.
And of course, the families that lived around the coal mines and the coal pits and stuff like that had lived there for generations and generations, like 3-4 generations or so. You know, people had lived and died around these mines, and then Thatcher just closed them all, and they felt betrayed, and people carry that resentment, even though many of them had never even lived when the coal mines had actually been open. and they still carry it like, you ruined our community, basically. And they hold it against her, and I can understand why.
But it's so all of this has been going on, and it's weird. Like, I'm not saying that worrying about the environment is weird. I'm saying Boris's obsession and fetish is weird. And some Tory MPs have started to start asking the same questions everyone else is, which is, what's wrong with him? What is he doing? Like, why is he obsessed with this? So this was a leak from a Tory MP WhatsApp group. So it's a WhatsApp group full of Tory MPs, and there's some of the comments in here. So Lee Anderson says this will not go down in red wall seats at all. Microfabricant said, no wonder Jeremy Clarkson votes for us, which is completely out of context here. Like, I can see it
understand.
is. I don't know why they included this.
He's probably being sarcastic, right?
It's just not part of... It doesn't make sense in this conversation. Brendan Clark-Smith says, it's hard sell asking people to make sacrifices when the rest of the world, China, Russia, etc., carry on as usual. Germany also having twice the many emissions as us, I believe. Others need to pull their weight rather than us doing all the legwork. That's true, because I remember the reason the Americans pulled out of the climate accord, why Trump did, I should say, not the Americans, because Biden went straight back in, is because they had this big meeting in Paris, and they were like, yeah, I'm going to cut by this much, and it'll cost the economy this much, but it'll be worth it because of climate. Hey, everyone else, what's your bid? And all the Westerners, being idiots, were like, yeah, we'll do this much and that much. And the Chinese went, yeah, we'll do nothing. Sign the paper. And then that was it. It was just like, well, what are you going to do? What we're doing already. It's going to change nothing. And then Trump was like, well, we've been had here. You know, we're giving up all of this stuff, and in return, we're getting nothing. I'm out. And
it's fair enough in my view.
Therefore, he was the bad guy, and I'm like, no. Like, and then Biden's just taking him back in.
So what we really need to do is direct all of the environmentalist rage towards the communist Chinese government. That's really where the change should be made, and also it'll stop us from having to deal with it as well. Win-win.
Yeah, but also they are the major polluters of the earth, the CCP. So Mark Jenkinson also says, we are ultra parochial on net zero, and we simply are not the problem. And then Carl McCarthy as well saying something in here. So you can see like a whole bunch of Tory MPs. But I love the last one. Jackie Doyle Price. The reason we have won the red wall seats is because Labour has been losing working class voters over decades as the party has become increasingly metropolitan. We won't keep those voters if we start behaving in the same way.
I remember reading that this morning and thinking, yes.
And
there are still people with some sense, although I am somewhat skeptical about this being real because they don't really talk like human beings, but then they are politicians, so that might explain it a little bit.
In-person politicians are different. When the cameras are on, they're all little scared animals. Not to be too rude to them, but they are. Everyone knows that there's a camera face for them, and then the
well, all they need to do is say one thing wrong, and that's the end of their career. Yeah. So,
but get them in the pub. They're far more normal than. Well, I say most of them as well. I don't know about all of them. Anyway, so if we go to Fabricant, the next one here, he said that his comment was completely taken out of context, which I believe. I don't know why the Sun added it in there, but it's the Sun, so whatever. But Darren Grimes did a response to this, which I saw across the board from every Tory, which was just, I'd buy all of them a pint. They all sound based to me. Because the fundamental is not them saying, death to the environment. No, they're saying, why are we obsessing over this in a way that's unhealthy? So there's also some other stuff in there that was shared that was quite weird. So if we go to the Sun article, there's someone who shared stark polling that in the chat showed that 44% of all car owners back the Conservatives, even though Boris has now decided he's going to ban the car by 2025 or 2030, I can't remember.
Actually, that's the petrol or diesel car, right?
Yeah,
Not just the car as a mode of transportation.
Well, it's coming.
You've got to get the bus.
No more cars, only trains. Anyway, but also that it rises to 47% for all petrol drivers, because hybrid owners and whatnot aren't voting Conservative, so I don't know what this is about. Also, another added, you cannot make steel without burning coal. Fact. We have been trying to save our steel industry for the last 10 years. On the basis of this, we shouldn't have bothered. Again, true. Like, why did you spend all that political capital saving it? But there is one silver lining to all of this weirdness. And again, I don't really have an answer, but the only silver lining I've seen is it kind of makes the Labour Party look ridiculous in a weird way. So you can see Ed here. What an absolute joke of a party. Labour has said Johnson's pledge to cut UK carbon emissions by 68% by 2030, compared with the 1990 levels, is inadequate, and that the target should be 70% at least.
About 2%.
2% difference.
So important.
Not enough. Needs to go to 70 from 68. Right, okay.
It's amazing that the climate scientists in the Labour Party know to that degree of a percentage how much we need to cut. It's
but also
quite amazing, really.
Johnson's just going to kind of be like, right, 71%. Now what? So there's that added benefit, I guess, of it makes their complaints look childish. But I don't know what else he's getting out of this. But also, Keir Starmer said something that made him also look kind of pathetic as a complainer. So the biggest threat we now face to climate isn't denial, but climate delay. Those who, like Boris Johnson, acknowledge there is a problem, but simply don't have the scale or ambition required to match the moment. You know, that whole 2%. The ambition to go 2% further. God. So I don't really have an answer. I'm not really sure. Like, if it's trying to keep Green Party growth down, because in Germany they exploded, maybe. Maybe it's just that he wants to make the Labour Party look like climate extremists, and they get the Extinction Rebellion nuts, and we don't.
I think the Tory party struggles with young people, and if they're seen as doing almost exactly the same thing as Labour, then there's nothing stopping them from, voting if they agree with them on other things. But particularly for younger generations, the environment is the most important thing for some reason.
Is it though? I'm very skeptical of that.
Not all young people, obviously, but as like a...
But then again, what is it? Like, of young people, what is it, 80% of them vote Labour? So again, what's the point? You're appealing to a choir that you long lost.
But the party is also dying as well, so... If you're gonna win them over, I'm not defending him here. I'm just trying to get into his head of why.
Yeah, because I'm struggling with it as well. But I did want to end on some white pill at least. So base Tories doing base things on occasion, and they deserve claps when they do it. So this is an idea that's being floated. So Kemi Badenoch, rising Tory star, poised to replace Gavin Williamson as Education Secretary. Now, here's the weird thing. I don't really dislike Gavin because we've featured him before. Remember, he was the guy who wanted free speech rules on university campuses to protect free speech. Did a good job on that, all the rest. Apparently, he's done some mess-ups elsewhere. So with the A-levels, too many A-stars being handed out.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. Like, what was it? 45% were A-star to A, which is ridiculous. It was normally like 20% at the highest. It's almost double. There
are some failures to be said of him, let's say, but I'm not opposed to this at all because I'd love to see Kemi in charge of education. I mean, could you imagine? I mean, this is the lady who went to Parliament and was like, yeah, BLM, critical race theorist organization, don't teach it in schools. Should be nothing to do with them in schools, and if you do, we'll put you in prison because you shouldn't be doing that. Which is the right thing to do. In the same way,
isn't it? Great to hear.
In the same way, you would be very upset if a teacher went into a school and started being like, "Yeah, so this Hitler guy, he had some good ideas." Like, you'd be like, no, you can't do that in a school to kids. This is total nonsense. And the same is true of the critical race theorists who come along and want to teach you about black genocide. No, get out. You're not teaching children, you freak.
We can see how it goes down the line in America, because at the minute, obviously, a huge thing is the critical race theory in schools and stuff like that. So this is great news for us, at least. So
yeah, I can't wait to see her in charge of education. The stuff she.
If you want your children to have a good education, now they can. Just send them here.
Kemi's School of Re-Education. Anyway, so a Conservative MP said he is wetting himself, Gavin, about the sack. He keeps telling people that he knows where the bodies are buried and that the PM is too weak to sack him. So maybe it won't happen, maybe it will. But either way, sounds like a good idea to me. I mean, if not, just put her in charge of the whole country or in charge of the Home Office or something. But I thought I'd just end on somewhat of a white pill compared to the just weird fetish of Boris with greenery, which I still don't have an answer to. I just don't get it. Like, I don't understand why he's so obsessed with it in a way that weirds everyone out.
A wife's opinion can be a powerful thing, and that's what I ultimately think it comes down to.
I look forward to the Dolphins getting the vote.
If you enjoyed this segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can watch the full broadcast live every weekday at 1 PM UK time on lotuseaters.com.